Let's have a quick discussion about modal analysis, and then we go to ETABS again, and then we will see how we can assess or how we can evaluate and interpret its results. So we already know that the basic concept of classical modal analysis is that the free vibration response, this is, let's say, the free vibration response of a multiple degree of freedom system caused by any initial conditions, not by applied loading but initial conditions. So let's say that we have some initial conditions and we apply those conditions, initial displacement and initial velocities at different levels of this structure, and because of those initial conditions it started oscillating. That oscillation is called as the free vibration response. The basic idea of classical modal analysis is that we can describe this free vibration response as a sum of simple harmonic motions, and the shape of each of these motions is called the mode shape. So simple harmonic motion for first shape or first mode will be like this. The simple harmonic motion for the second mode will be like this, and third mode, and this will continue for as much number of modes as the number of degrees of freedom in your structure. So the idea is that you can just sum them at any time instant. You will get the same deflected shape at that particular time instant for the free vibration response. So we have calculated the free vibration response of any multiple degree of freedom system as a superposition of simple harmonic motions of different mode shapes of the structure. This is the basic idea. But the properties of mode shapes, the shape itself, the pattern, as well as the time period associated with each mode, gives us a very valuable information about the structure itself. So a quick review that we get these mode shapes and natural time periods of the structure or natural frequencies from the free vibration analysis of a multiple degree of freedom system, and that multiple degree of freedom system should be undamped. So the complete governing equation of motion, we not only remove the damping term but we also remove the applied force. So the only equation left is mu dot dot the acceleration term, which is basically the inertia, and Ku, which is the elastic restoring force, and equal to null vector. So this equation we solve for any multiple degree of freedom system, and then we get the idea of vibration mode shapes and the natural frequencies or corresponding time periods, and these numbers basically give us an insight into the dynamic behavior and response of the structure. So these numbers, these modal properties basically are very useful. They are kind of a heartbeat of a structure, because just like a doctor which can measure all these vitals, heartbeat and other things to check how much healthy a person is or if a person has any problem. Similarly, we can check the modal properties of a structure even before application of any applied loading. And by those properties we can tell whether the behavior of the structure will be desirable or not, or do we need any major design change right at this stage. Even before applying loading, we can predict whether the behavior will be regular, irregular, it will be torsionally dominant, or it will be desirable or not. Because the natural frequencies of the structure, omegas, or corresponding time periods of the structure for each mode, each significantly contributing mode, they basically tell us the relationship between the mass and stiffness. Just keep the single degree of freedom system time period equation in mind. It was 2 pi under root m over k. So this is basically telling you the relationship between mass and stiffness, the combined effect of mass and stiffness. This time period is telling. So two structures with different masses and different stiffnesses, if their ratios are same, their time period will be same, and resultingly their dynamic behavior will be same. So this is a primary parameter governing the dynamic response of the structure. So these modal properties are the basis for damping, resonance and amplification effects. All of these things, they can be understood if we are given with the omega of the structure or time period of the structure. So there are different relationships for buildings which tell us that how much a well proportioned structure or a building should have the time period, or how much the natural frequency of the structure should be if it is well proportioned. So what we can do is, just like a doctor have a healthy range of a heartbeat, we can tell by just checking at the natural frequency of the structure that whether the structure will have a desirable dynamic response or not. So similarly for mode shapes also, for a structure which is well proportioned, which have no vertical discontinuity or significant vertical connectivity issue, it should have a well defined proper mode shapes which should match with what we should have for a healthy kind of a structure. So a mode shape is a set of relative nodal displacements. They are relative. I mean, by relative I mean that their absolute values for first mode, for example, this one, the value for each of these ordinates, each level, these values doesn't matter. Basically, their ratios matter, or the overall pattern, you can say, is what is required. So, for example, this is first mode shape. So it can be normalized by any means. For example, it can be normalized such that the roof number is 1, or it can be normalized by any other way also. So why we can normalize it by any way? Because we know that the pattern is what is required or what is important. The absolute values of these numbers of each level for mode shape is not important. So that's why we say that it is a relative nodal displacement. So the number of vibration modes of a structure are theoretically equal to the number of degrees of freedom of a structure. But for high-rise buildings, there can be thousands of degrees of freedom. But only first few modes participate significantly in the dynamic response. So the dynamic response can be just described by summing only first 4 or 5 modes maximum. So not all hundreds or thousands of mode shapes participate equally. As we go to higher vibration modes, their participation towards the total response keeps on reducing. So not all modes are significant. And an important point in the modal analysis is the local modes. Uh, First of, if you have, for example, any discontinued element, if you have, for example, an element which is like this, which is just standing freely on top of your structure, so it will have this element will have its own mode. The whole building will be just standing still, and this one element will be just oscillating in to and fro motion. That kind of a mode which doesn't represent a significant mass of the building, doesn't excite the significant mass of the building, that mode is called local mode, and that arises if you have any discontinued element or any other connectivity issue. So using this way, you can even check whether your structure have or structural model have any connectivity problem or not by looking at the modal analysis results. If it is showing local modes, you can check each of them separately and find why the local modes are appearing in the results. So the natural frequencies can be calculated, and each natural frequency is basically converted into a time period, and that is associated with a mode shape. So basically that time period is the time required for that mode's simple harmonic motion, uh, one cycle of that simple harmonic motion. So it is a normalized deformation pattern and not absolute values of displacements. It is a deformation pattern. So important thing is that since we got this idea of mode shapes and modal properties from this equation, so there are no applied forces involved. Only you need to have is the mass of the structure and stiffness of the structure. The only two things required are these two things. So once you create the geometry of your structure in ETABS or any structural analysis program, basically you provide the mass and stiffness, and software will formulate these matrices, and without applying any load you can just run the modal analysis. So you can get the mode shapes without any applied loading. So this should be the normal practice, that you should run first the modal analysis before applying the applied loading, so that you can understand the response of the structure. Check the time periods of the structure. It should be in the normal range. The mode shapes should look normal. There should not be any torsional mode in first mode or second mode. Translational modes should basically govern the fundamental response of the structure and not the torsional mode. So even before applying gravity load or time history, pushover, response spectrum, any seismic analysis procedure, even before that you can apply this modal analysis. So by just looking at the modal properties, you can you can guess about the response. So all the strengths and weaknesses of your structure will be just available to you, or they will give the indication from the modal analysis results. For example, if you have a 10-story building and it has a first mode time period equal to maybe 5 seconds, then I think that you must have some problem with that, because a 10-story building should have a time period which should be around 0.1 second, or 1 second, or maybe 1.5 second. So this is a kind of a healthy range for a 10-story building. But if your time period is more than that and significantly more than that, then there can be two reasons. One is that you may have some mistake in your computer model, some connectivity issue or some mass and stiffness is not given properly. Or if the computer model is correct, then your design may need significant revisions and your structure is significantly softer compared to a well-proportioned structure. If your 10-story building have a time period equal to 0.2 seconds, then it means again that either your model have some problem, or your structure is too stiff. You may decrease the cross-sectional sizes and other details to make it to bring the time period in a reasonable range. Similarly, you can animate the mode shapes. You can check whether the first mode is translational or if you have the coupled modes. By coupled mode, I mean a mode which is participating in both directions, X and Y. So the accuracy of the computer model can be checked. The time period should be in reasonable range. If you have any discontinued members, you will have local modes. So the whole building will be just standing still in that mode, and only one element will be oscillating. So it will be a local mode. Similarly, the symmetry of the structure can be determined. The first two modes of any building should be translational modes in X and Y, or X or Y directions. So basically, the first mode should not be torsional. It should be translational mode in any of the principal directions, lateral directions of the building. If the first mode is torsional, the structure is unsymmetrical, because these mode shapes are in a sense the weakest configuration of your structure. If the structure is allowed to vibrate freely, it will want to vibrate in these mode shapes. So if it wants to vibrate in a torsional mode, if its first priority or first mode is torsional motion, then it is not a desirable seismic behavior or desirable behavior under any lateral load. So you should have major design changes if your first mode is torsional. Make the structure symmetric in plan so that its first mode is translational. So similarly, if you have the information about the natural time periods of the structure, you can make sure that they are not matching with any frequency of any anticipated applied loading. So that the resonance can be avoided. So the natural frequencies of the structure omega can be used to determine those you can say frequencies which should be avoided as part of the applied loading so that the resonance can be avoided. So here you see one example that the bottom structure is a perfectly symmetric structure in both directions. So it doesn't have any plan irregularity. So in x and y directions, let's say, it has no plan irregularity. So the first two modes are translational and third mode is basically rotational. So this is a desirable behavior. But if you have, for example, any discontinuity in mass or stiffness on only one side of the structure, for example, a shear wall maybe, or opening on one side but no opening on the other side, that may result in this kind of a behavior where you have first mode as torsional and second mode, third are maybe translational or mix of translational and torsional. So you may also have coupled modes. Coupled modes are basically the modes which are not purely translational in X or Y, but they may be, you can say, an X direction mode which is dominant in X direction, but may have some contribution in Y direction. Or it can be like this, that the building is primarily vibrating or showing the mode shape animation in X direction, but at the same time it is rotating also about the Z direction. So that also will be a coupled mode. So any significant mass or stiffness irregularity will modify the M and K matrix basically, and that effect can be seen by the time periods and the mode shapes. There are very detailed, you can say, evaluations available in the literature which basically give you a lot of insight about the building's dynamic response using these mode shape or time periods. For example, the ratio between the second mode to first mode or third mode to second mode time periods, that also give you a lot of useful information about the dynamic behavior or the contribution of different elements in the global K matrix of the structure. So here you can see another example where this is the first mode in X direction. The X and Y directions are also sometimes called minor and major directions, or strong or weak directions, depending upon the lateral capacity of the structure. If you have a regular kind of a structure but the building footprint is such that the X direction dimension is far more than the Y direction, then most probably you will have X direction as the strong direction. And in that case, the first mode is expected to be in Y direction. So Y direction will become minor direction and X will become the stronger direction or major direction. So here you have T1, which is 5.32, and the mass participation in this first mode is around 60%. This may be a 50 or 60 story building, and that's why it has this much high time period. Now the second mode, according to software numbering, is basically the first mode in major direction or X direction. So T2 is not basically the second mode in the same direction. T2 is basically the first mode in the perpendicular direction. T3 is the torsional mode, the first mode in torsion. So this is a desirable behavior now, that the time periods for first two modes are higher than the torsional mode. The software arranges the mode shapes in such that the natural frequency is increasing, or basically the time period is reducing. So the highest time period will be first mode, the second highest will be second, and so on. So you, after the analysis, you are expected to classify these mode shapes in the on the basis of directions. So the third mode according to software numbering is the first torsional mode. Similarly, the sixth mode is the second mode in minor direction. The shape is telling you and the second highest contribution of mass after this 60 is in sixth mode. So this is the basically second vibration mode. Similarly, T4 was basically second mode in X direction. T5 was second mode in torsional direction. So that's how we classify first 9 modes into 3 modes in X, 3 in Y and 3 in torsional direction. So one more thing and then we can go to ETABS and continue this discussion. That the modal response is, since it is basically the telling you the relationship between M and K matrices, so all those factors which affect M and K matrix, they will basically also affect the modal properties. So obviously the mass will come from structure itself, but it can be from its attachments or occupants. So that's why sometimes the live load, the expected live load of the structure is also included and converted and included as the mass of the structure. The stiffness can be contributed by tower or podium, which is the superstructure, and then basement and foundation, as well as soil also. So all of these factors affect the K matrix. The boundary conditions also affect the K matrix. So the support conditions, you can say, or boundary conditions, they also affect the K matrix. So all of these factors you should keep in mind while checking the modal properties of the structure. So coming back to the same idea, and then we will go to ETABS, that we can essentially decompose our detailed multiple degree of freedom structure into few single degree of freedom systems, each representing a mode, a particular mode of a multiple degree of freedom system. And instead of just calculating the free vibration response of this multiple degree of freedom system, we can calculate the free vibration responses of these single degree of freedom systems, and then we sum them and we get approximately the same answer if we sum enough number of mode shapes which are contributing in the response. The important point here is that this idea which we get from the free vibration response of an undamped multiple degree of freedom system, this idea is also useful in the forced vibration response also. So the idea of vibration modes and the classical modal analysis, this decomposition, natural time periods, mode shapes, is also useful in calculating the response against forced vibration or forces, dynamic forces. So that we will see in the next part of this demonstration, but now I think we should go to ETABS. And let me open an example structure and show you how you can extract mode shapes and how you can see and visualize them. So now I can open an example structure. And here I can, okay, this one. So it is a regular kind of a building. I deliberately use just a regular building because the modal properties will be simple and easy to explain. But for real structures, you may have coupled modes, but the basic idea will be same. So here the analysis is already performed. So let's first quickly go through some of these steps which are required to first run the modal analysis. So the very first step will be to tell software from where the mass matrix should come, and that is the mass source. So let me go to define and mass source, this option. So this is the option which basically you should use to tell the software to formulate the mass matrix. So currently, since the model is run already, so I cannot change in this mass source. because it is basically already used to formulate the mass matrix. But the options here are element self mass, additional mass, specified load patterns, and then you can also have some other options, for example, adjusting the location of the center of mass for different diaphragms or stories also. So let me, for example, first open a new model, and then I will show you these options. So the very first step you should do is to define the mass source when you want to run the model analysis. Obviously, this is beside creating the geometry, which will basically formulate the K matrix. Now the mass matrix will be from here. So if I modify, okay, here you can see clearly these options. Element self mass or any additional mass assigned to a node or element, because you can also assign a nodal mass also directly in ETABS. So if you want to include it in the mass matrix, you can check this option. Otherwise, just element self mass will be included. If you want to, for example, include the some percentage of live load also, then you can check for this third option and then uncheck the first two maybe, and then you can go for the load cases or load patterns with some multiplier, so that you can the software can just convert those loads into masses and then construct the mass matrix. So some, obviously you would want to have the complete dead load plus some percent of the live load, so multiplier can be changed and added in this list. Here this option is about the uh, adjusting the diaphragm lateral mass to move mass centroid by some eccentricity. So for example, there are two ways to account for the accidental torsion while performing the equivalent static force procedure. The first procedure is that you move the location of applied loading. First you apply them exactly at the center of mass at each diaphragm with no eccentricity. Then you introduce eccentricity and apply the loads, add some eccentricity from the center of mass. The second option is that instead of moving the load from center of mass, why not you just change the location where the mass should be concentrated, and that effect will automatically modify the mode shapes because the mass matrix will be changed, and that effect will be automatically accounted, and there is no need to apply eccentricity in forces. So, if you want to go for that second option, this option you will use, that the center of mass point will be moved from the actual center of mass. It will be moved with this eccentricity in x and y direction. So you can give some eccentricity, let's say 5%, to account for the dynamic effects of accidental torsion, which will be account automatically in mode shapes from the mass matrix. If you just want to use the simple basic first approach, then no need to check this option. These options here you can use to either include lateral mass or vertical mass. By default, the vertical mass is not included. So vertical mode shapes and vertical time history analysis will not be able to perform if you don't check this option. So all the vertical masses will not be used in the construction of mass matrix if you have this option unchecked. And since your primary purpose to calculate mode shapes is to understand the lateral dynamic response only, so by default this option is unchecked. Lumped lateral mass at story level. So if you uncheck this, the software will lump the lateral mass at each node separately. If you check this option, the software will collect the mass at each node. It will collect it from each node and lump it at the center of the story level. It will create a master node at that level and apply the whole mass at that point, and then it will be basically a simplified multiple degree of freedom system for the construction of mass matrix. So these are the mass matrix options uh, for ETABS. And if you, for example, go for lumped mass or nodal masses, whatever option you use. After the analysis, you can check all the masses at each node also. The software reports the masses which it automatically calculated from the structure's geometry and material density, and it lump at each node or at the center of story. It will basically report those numbers. So you can check that after the analysis. So these are the mass source thing which you should first check before running the modal analysis. The second thing is the modal case. Modal case. So the default modal case is set to eigenvalue analysis, and there is another option called the Ritz analysis, but I will use eigen analysis only. And in eigen analysis, the mode shapes are arranged differently compared to Ritz analysis. The procedure for the calculation of mode shapes is also different. You have to specify the maximum number of mode shapes, and more importantly, you have to check that the mass source which you basically defined here or modified is using here for construction of mass matrix. So using by just checking this modal case, and if you want to change anything, for example the maximum number of modes, you can change here, and it is by default the first option in the analysis cases which should be run. So for example, if you go to set load cases to run here, so the default load case, the modal is already here. So once you click run, the modal case will run automatically. The K matrix will be coming from the structure geometry. It will be constructed from material properties up to cross-section properties and then to member properties. And all of these three properties will finally be resulting in the construction of K matrix, along with the structural configuration and other controlling parameters like boundary conditions. So once you run the modal analysis, let me now open that same model and go to some of the results here. So after the modal analysis, you can go for two types of results. Let's say this is that model, and after running the analysis, I can go to display and show tables here. And in that, here you can see the modal results, and there are several kinds of results. Modal periods and frequencies, participation of different modes, the mass participation, and some other modal factors, participation factors, and those factors are basically primarily calculated from mode shapes. So the two properties which are primarily calculated from the eigenvalue analysis are the natural frequencies or corresponding time periods and the mode shapes. All of other properties are calculated from these two properties. So if I want to go to modal periods and frequencies, let me check these tables, and I can go for this table, and for example first modal periods and frequencies. So it is giving some error. Okay, maybe. Okay, so now you can see that software have calculated 12 modes in the case of modal, and the time period is the first mode time period is 1.98, and it is reducing for higher modes. The natural frequency f, the circular frequency omega, and omega square, which is the eigenvalue calculated as part of the eigenvalue analysis. It is basically omega square. So it takes its under root to get this omega. So now we know already the first 12 modes, but let's check their directions. So I can go to modal participation factors, or in fact modal participating mass ratios. So here you can see that the first mode, which is this highlighted mode, 1.983 second time period, it has a zero mass participation in x direction, but 82% mass participation in y direction. So the first mode is primarily the first mode of y direction. Similarly, the second mode is the first mode in x direction, and no participation in y and z directions. In fact, z will always be 0 because we haven't even included the vertical mass. So only these two you can check, or there is another rotation one also you can check. So the third mode, for example, the rotation about vertical axis have the highest number here. Basically the sum ux, sum uy is the cumulative values. It sums these tables cumulative sum and gives you. So basically from this sum ux you can check that first how many modes are basically resulting in the cumulative mass participation of how much percent. For example, you can see here that first 5 modes, out of which only 2 are the x direction modes, only those 2 will result in more than 90% of the mass participation. 82% this one and 9.6% this one. So only first 2 modes in x direction will participate more than 90% in the response. The third mode in x direction is basically this one, which is the 8th mode according to this list, and it has 3% participation. Okay, the third mode in this list is basically the first mode of torsion, because it doesn't have any contribution in x or y, but it has the contribution in rz. So rz is basically the rotation about the z-axis, which is the vertical axis. So rz becomes the torsional motion for this particular, you can say, this particular mode 3. Similarly, the sixth mode is the second torsional mode, and ninth mode is the third torsional mode. Similarly, for y, if you can say here that this fourth mode is the second mode in y, and seventh mode is the third mode in y, and then the 10th mode is the fourth mode in y. So basically from these 12 modes, you can identify 4 modes in x, 4 modes in y, and 4 modes in torsion direction. Since the building is very symmetric, so that's why there are no coupled modes. Otherwise, for example, the first mode may have 70% in uy, but maybe 10% in ux also. So it will be a coupled mode because primarily it is a y direction mode, but it has some participation in x also. Similarly, the second mode would have been a coupled mode if you have some irregularity. So maybe 60% in x direction, but 20% in y also. Same will be, the coupling can be with the translation as well as rotational modes also. So that's how you list down the first, second, third and fourth mode in x, y and torsional direction based on participating mass ratios. But you should also check their animations also. So their shapes also you should check. So you can animate these mode shapes obviously. I will not do it here because it may take some time to generate frames. But you can go to this deformed shape and mode, and then you can apply the, for example, deformed shape of the first mode. And first mode you can see here that it is now deformed in y direction. So you can click here this start animation so that it will show you the animation for first mode. So let me do it and let's wait. It will generate these animation frames and it will show us the first mode's animation. So from these animations you can also confirm which mode is the first mode in X, which is in Y, which is in Z, for example. So this is the first mode in Y direction. Similarly, I go for the second mode now. So here on top you see the second mode shape as well as its time period also. So let the frames loaded and then, okay, here you can see that mode 2 has 1.9 second time period and it is a primarily fundamental sway mode in X direction of the building. Similarly, I can go for third mode, and third should be basically the first torsional mode. So the building should basically rotate about the vertical axis under this mode. So these torsional modes, they may not have significant contribution in the dynamic response against earthquakes, for example, because earthquake motions primarily excite the translational modes of the building. So here you have the third mode, which is the rotational mode. So it has the third highest time period, and you can check and animate. Similarly, you can go for second and third modes also in each of the direction. One more thing you can check here is the actual mode shape vector if you want to extract it out for your own calculations or your own maybe reporting the data, for example. So you can go to display and story response plots. In that story response plot, you can go for the display type as the diaphragm center of mass displacement. So now it will basically show the displacement uh, of the center of mass point at each story. Story will be on y-axis and the displacement values on x-axis. And then select the case type as modal and select the mode number as 1. So now this is the displacement of the center of mass at each story. So this is basically the first mode shape. And you can see here that it is in global y direction, which is red color, and x direction value blue is almost 0. If it was a coupled mode, then this blue also would have some values. So the first mode is primarily the translational mode, this shape in y direction. So please note that the absolute values of these points, they doesn't matter. The relative values or the pattern of this shape is basically the first mode. So please don't consider, these displacements, the absolute values of these displacements, they are not required, but the pattern is required. So what we can do is that we can extract the values from this table here, let's say formatted, and these values in x direction or y direction are given against each floor. So we can copy that column and then we can normalize it by any way. For example, I can normalize it such that the roof number is 1 and all the values are relative to that. So this is your first mode shape, basically first mode vector. Similarly, you can go for the second mode. I can type 2 here and enter. So you can see here that now the line is blue, which is x direction, but the pattern is still the first mode pattern. Let's go for the fourth mode, for example. So you can see here that this is the second mode shape pattern, but it is in the y direction. So red is the y direction. So no contribution from x. Let's go for fifth mode. Now fifth mode, again the second mode, but in the x direction. Sixth would be, I think, torsional. So let's go to seventh mode. So now you can see that seventh mode is the third mode basically, but third mode in y direction. Eighth will be, I think, the third mode in x direction. Yes, it is the third mode in x direction. Similarly, we can go for fourth mode also. Let's go for maybe 11th mode something. So you can see that this is the fourth mode now in x direction. So that's how you can classify your different modes based on the directions and based on their behavior. These are the two results which you can just extract, the time periods and any modal participation, etc., which is calculated from basically mode shapes and those time periods. And second is the actual values of these mode shapes. Those can be extracted out from this table, and from here you can copy these values against each story level and then plot according to your the way you want it. So let's go back now to our basic discussion, and then I will come back again for one more thing to this topic, this model, and that topic is about the orthogonality property of mode shapes. I will extract these mode shapes and show you that these are orthogonal to each other.